Hey Megamaniacs, this is Mr. MegaManFan, and it's amazing the shit you find when you're cleaning. Almost 20 years to the day after the Dreamcast came out, my original bag with all the pack-ins and flyers that the instruction manual came with. Now, I didn't get my Dreamcast on launch date. In fact, I got it thanks to my wife when they were blowing them out for $50 each at Best Buy. But I still have all this stuff almost 20 years later, starting with the Dreamcast instruction manual. I don't know that I ever actually opened this at the time. I was so familiar with the Dreamcast at that point, I just hooked everything up and turned it on. But nevertheless, here it is explaining how to properly set up your equipment, including connecting to a telephone line. What an antiquated concept. I mean, it was advanced at the time that the Dreamcast came with a built-in modem, but these days, can you imagine playing a game on dial-up? And of course, it explains how to use the visual memory unit as well, including managing all of your file data. If you're not already a subscriber to Stop Skeletons from Fighting, check out Derek and Grace. They did a very excellent video on the history of the VMU and all the things that you could do with it. And that's not all that I had in this bag from almost 20 years ago. Please read before operating your Dreamcast. And it says call 1-800-USA-SEGA if you have any problems and provide your serial number. I don't think that number is in service anymore, but if somebody wants to give it a try and tell me the results in the comments below, feel free to do so. We've also got this return by mail product registration, which I obviously never filled out. Maybe I should have, because it says you could win a Crazy Taxi arcade machine. You must enter before March 31st, 2000. Well, I'm a little late for that. Oh, and Kappa will appreciate this. If you're 12 years old or younger, make sure you have your parents' permission. Hey, Kappa, they were thinking about it even back then. What else do I have in this bag? Oh, I've got an insert here that says more games. I guess they were advertising other titles you could get with your Dreamcast, including Daytona USA, Sonic Adventure 2, MSR, Ooga Booga. All these crazy games that you could pick up for your brand new Dreamcast. And of course, greatest hits at value prices like Sonic Adventure, Virtua Tennis, Bass Fishing, and Crazy Taxi. All the available games at the time, well, not all. I mean, all the available games they were advertising at the time from the greatest hits line. Then on the flip side, you got Sega Sports, NFL 2K2, NBA 2K2, Major League Baseball, etc. Let's see what else we've got in this bag. Oh, it's another one of these more games flyers. Maybe they packed two into my bag? I don't know. But it looks exactly the same as the other one, so nothing new to inspect there. We've also got this flyer for a free issue of the official Sega Dreamcast magazine. Sonic goes supersonic. Congratulations, you've got yourself the hottest video games machine on the planet. I guess it's not in the planet, because what are we waiting for? To get out of there, hurry up! It's on the planet. But that address in Boulder, Colorado, probably not on the planet anymore. I'm sure that P.O. box has long since expired. And an unopened Dreamcast Generations demo disc with demos of over a half dozen different games. I think I'm going to have to turn on the Dreamcast, put this in, and give it a try. Look at all this stuff. That's pretty cool. How did I never play this back in the day? You can tell it's not even been opened. That flap's never been bent. And look what it says. Please handle with care. Scratch discs won't play. That's some good advice, Sega. I appreciate that. Thank you. Wish everybody else heeded that warning. Speaking of heeding the warning, we've also got an advisory about maturity ratings, ETMAO, and RP. I don't think I've ever bought a single game that was AO. I believe Scott the Woz might have addressed M and AO, and maybe one game that accidentally got labeled AO, but I don't know that any game that would be sold at retail would have AO. It probably wouldn't even get onto store shelves. Well, here's a visual memory unit instruction manual. So either that was packed in with my Dreamcast or I opened it up separately because I got another one here. So maybe I just threw everything in the bag along with the manual once I was done setting up my Dreamcast. That seems like the most likely explanation. Here's another Play to Win flyer. This one is advertising emergency call ambulance. Enter before March 31st, 2001. Still too late for that. But it's cool that I still have this, even if that address would no longer be valid. But no purchase necessary according to the flyer. And what do we have here? A flyer for SegaNet. Woo! The SegaNet Insider, a dynamic, exciting gaming community. Sega.net. Low latency ISP. 3D multiplayer. Experience performance like never before. For a service that no longer exists. I wonder how much this was back in the day, whether it was like $9.99 a month or whether it was billed by the minute. I have no idea because I was never signed up for SegaNet. And I think that's going to just about do it for everything that's in the bag. So let's try out that Dreamcast demo disc. Okay, I've got my Dreamcast set up, ready to rock and roll. I've got the generator disc here in my hand. Let's take it out of the sleeve, see how it looks almost 20 years later. And I would be surprised if it didn't look absolutely perfect. The front side seems fine. Backside, clean as a new baby's bottom. There's nothing on it, no scratches, no previous usage. So let's see if the Dreamcast can detect the disc. It's checking. And the verdict is, it works. It is an official Sega Dreamcast disc. It has passed all the keys. And what do we have on here? Well, first we have the MPEG SoftDeck logo. Then we have the Dreamcast generator splash screen. And then we have a menu that looks like a Dreamcast vault. There's really not much you can do on this menu other than scroll to the left and scroll to the right. I pushed all the buttons, hit all the triggers, tried all the things. All you can do is select from these particular games. You can't even watch any demo videos or play Sega Swirl. This is all you get. So I'm going to pick Rayman 2 and we're going to take a quick look at that game. While I was booting this one up, it splashed a screen that said, after you're done with this demo, enter for a chance to win $10,000. Well, I would have to assume that contest has expired too. And I apologize if you see a moire pattern on the screen. I don't have a way to direct capture output from the Dreamcast, so this is the best I can do to show you Rayman 2. And it seems dying is rather easy here. I just walked into the water and died. And right from the start, there's these robots shooting at me, so I didn't have much learning curve here. I had to immediately jump into the fray and figure out which button to use to attack and how many hits it would take to attack them. I assume I'm collecting all the fireflies here. You'll have to forgive me, it's been a long time since I played Rayman 2, so I'm totally winging this right now. In fact, the lack of an analog stick to point the camera is kind of driving me nuts. I'm trying to remember how I would have even done this without a second thumbstick. I'm used to having one to move and one to aim the camera with. It's why it's hard sometimes to go back to old PlayStation games too, because a lot of them have a fixed camera that just follows you. So if I have a dual controller plugged in, I instinctively try to move the camera and it just doesn't work. Toy Story is a perfect example of that. You want so badly to move the camera in those Toy Story games and you can't do it. Resident Evil games on PlayStation, also extremely frustrating. Tank controls. So I was trying to swim in Rayman 2. It was not very intuitive. I finally figured out that if you hold down the left trigger, he dives, and then you can swim at the depth you've dived to I almost said divin. I don't think that makes sense. I think dived to would be the appropriate word, but whatever level of depth you are at is what you swim at. And then you can helicopter in the air once you jump out of the water to land. It's not very intuitive to play, but it works. It's a demo. Please play this demo. Please play this demo. Well, I'm Mr. MegaManFan, and this is a look at what came packed into a Dreamcast, what was bundled with it almost 2 decades ago. A nice sampler, a bunch of product cards, a hefty instruction manual. I don't mean hefty as in it's heavy, I mean hefty as in it's packed full of information. And I think this was a fun little journey down nostalgia lane to see all this stuff again after so long. I hope you feel the same way. Leave your comments below, and of course, if you're new to Mr. MegaManFan, subscribe to the channel and share the video with a friend. I'll see you next time.